The derelict Caravex freighter floated silently in the void, its hull scarred by micrometeorite impacts and battle damage. Ryland Cade wiped the grease from his hands onto his worn jumpsuit, surveying the alien machinery with a mixture of frustration and fascination. The salvage contract had seemed straightforward: restore the ship's power core, collect his payment, and move on to the next job. But nothing in the outer sectors was ever straightforward. The corridors of the Caravex vessel were designed for beings twice his height, forcing Ryland to crane his neck at the towering bulkheads. Bioluminescent panels flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows that danced across walls covered in symbols he couldn't decipher. His toolkit clinked against his hip as he navigated the labyrinthine passages, following the faint hum of the disabled reactor. Humans weren't supposed to be out here, not this far from Earth's protective sphere. The galaxy's older civilizations had made that abundantly clear when humanity first stumbled into faster-than-light travel. But Ryland had never been good at following rules, and independent mechanics who could work with alien technology were worth their weight in refined helium-3. A sound echoed through the metal corridor, a low, guttural growl that made his blood run cold. Ryland froze, his hand instinctively reaching for the plasma torch at his belt. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it was better than nothing. The growl came again, closer this time, followed by the distinct click of claws on metal decking. He'd heard stories about the Vorkesh, the Galactic community's polite term for what human spacers, simply called the wolves, apex predators from a high-gravity death world. They stood nearly 3 meters tall on their hind legs, covered in midnight black fur that seemed to absorb light itself. Their society was built on pack hierarchy and ritual combat, and they had a particular disdain for species they considered weak. The salvage company hadn't mentioned anything about wolves. 3 of them emerged from the shadows ahead, their eyes reflecting the dim bioluminescence with an amber glow. They moved with predatory grace, spreading out to block the corridor. The largest stepped forward, muscles rippling beneath its fur, teeth bared in what might have been a smile or a threat display. "Human," the creature rumbled, its translator collar rendering the growls into comprehensible speech. "You trespass on claimed salvage. I am Vorak, Alpha of the Blood Moon Pack. This vessel belongs to us." Ryland's heart hammered against his ribs, but he kept his voice steady. "Funny, my contract says otherwise. Filed with the Salvage Guild 3 cycles ago." Vorak's laugh was like gravel grinding together. "Your guild has no authority here, tiny thing. This is the contested fringe. Only strength matters." The wolf took another step forward, lowering into a crouch. "Run, human. Give us sport before we claim what is ours." Every instinct screamed at Ryland to do exactly that, to turn and flee through the twisting corridors, to find an airlock and seal himself in his shuttle. That's what any sensible being would do when confronted by 3 of the galaxy's most feared predators. But Ryland Cade hadn't survived 5 years in the outer sectors by being sensible. "Here's the thing about humans," he said, surprising himself with the steadiness of his voice. "We don't run from predators. We became the apex predators on our world by refusing to run." He tapped the plasma torch against his palm, the gesture casual despite his racing pulse. "You want the ship? You'll have to go through me." The corridor erupted in snarls. The 2 smaller wolves lunged forward, expecting easy prey. Ryland had been counting on that. He triggered the plasma torch at maximum output and swept it across the nearest bulkhead. The alien metal, already weakened by years of neglect, gave way instantly. Atmosphere shrieked as it vented into space, and the sudden decompression pulled everything toward the breach, including the attacking wolves. Ryland had already magnetized his boots and grabbed a support strut. The wolves, caught mid-leap, tumbled past him into the howling void. Their claws scraped desperately at the smooth metal, finding no purchase. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut a moment later, sealing the breach and leaving an eerie silence in their wake. Vorak remained, having caught himself on the far side of the bulkhead door. The alpha wolf's eyes blazed with something that might have been fury or respect. Ryland couldn't tell which. "Clever," Vorak growled. "You sacrifice your own safety for tactical advantage." Your denmates were not exaggerating about human unpredictability. "We call it thinking on our feet," Ryland replied, his hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "Now we can keep doing this dance, or we can be adults about it. The reactor in this ship is fried. Without someone who knows Caravex systems, you'll never get it running." "I do, that makes me valuable." The wolf was silent for a long moment, head tilted in consideration. Pack dynamics were everything to the Vorkesh. Strength commanded respect, but so did usefulness to the pack. You would work with those who just tried to kill you? I'd work with anyone who pays, Rylan said. And doesn't actually succeed in killing me. Your pack members are alive, by the way. I've vented them into a cargo bay 3 sections over. They'll have a headache, but they'll live. Vorek's lips pulled back from his fangs, a genuine smile this time. You are either very brave or very stupid, human. Perhaps both. He straightened to his full height. Very well. Fix our ship. We will negotiate terms. But know this, Rylan Cade, you have earned a name among the wolves. That is not a gift given lightly. As the alpha wolf turned and disappeared into the shadows, Rylan finally allowed himself to exhale. His hands were shaking now, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. But he was alive, and somehow, he just negotiated with beings that most species wouldn't even dare to speak to. Maybe that was the thing about humans, he thought as he made his way toward the reactor core. They were small, fragile, short-lived creatures in a galaxy full of bigger, stronger, older civilizations. But they clawed their way to the top of Earth's food chain by being stubborn, adaptable, and just crazy enough to stand their ground when any rational being would run. The galaxy was still learning what that meant. And Rylan Cade wasn't done teaching.